What's up, guys? It's your girl Matt Cox with Maccouture Crafting. I am so happy to be here with you guys for another day at the Rainbow Brick Wall. So let's talk Emily Watts. I did not know who Emily Watts was, but my guild had her as a special speaker, and I went to the meeting and I loved what she was saying. I loved her quilt trajectory. I love the things that she was talking about. She tells you about how she got into quilting, some of the first things that she did, and the things that she started off doing were absolutely hilarious. But you could tell it was somebody who wanted to accomplish a goal, and she did not have all the tools immediately to do that, but she was very innovative about the way that she quilted. It's actually insane some of the stuff that she did, but she didn't know. One of my favorite sayings of all times is "You don't know until you know," and she didn't know, but she wanted to get it done, and she got it done, and evolved and fell in love with quilting. And her story was amazing. Some of the things that she's encountered and some of the people who have spoken into her life have said some amazing things. So it was a great talk. And my friends were like, "You got to take the class. You got to take the class." And I'm like, I just wasn't really in the I mean, after hearing her, I'm like, "Yes, I wanna take the class," and then a few days later, I was like, "Ooh, life." And then I was dragging my feet, and then I needed to prepare, and her class is an applique bias tape class, and it required some preparation, and I dragged. And when I say I dragged, I mean up until the morning of nothing had been done. And of course, I didn't just wanna do the pattern that she was giving us. So you had the option to do her pattern or do something else. And all of the people who were in this class were advanced enough to kind of have an idea of how they wanted to use her techniques in their own stuff. So some people did their own thing, they were going rogue, and some people were doing her pattern. And her pattern is totally her, and I thought it wasn't me until I saw what everybody else was doing, and then I had FOMO, like, I want to do that too. So, I mean, her pattern is so cute, and I saw some people do some really cute stuff with it. But anyway, I was dragging, and I decided that I was going to do her style, but quilt as you go. I had never done like a quilt that's quilt as you go. I've done some placemats and stuff like that. But I was like, this pattern should be great. So I grabbed some fabric, and last minute, if you ask me for fabric, it's going to be rainbow fabric because that's the only thing that I really have on hand that I can part with that's not for another project. So all things are usually rainbow. Shout out to June because June is the month when you can buy anything in rainbows. And I love, 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 love rainbows. And I love June for that. So I grabbed some rainbow fabric. I cut it out on my Cricut. So I did not do any fusible or anything on the back. It's just straight up fabric. And I cut it out in different shapes of bows because bows are my jam. And I'm really happy that I did that. I wish I had thought through the sizes better, but no worries. So I took these applique shapes of bows. I took a front fabric, some batting, and a back fabric, and I pre-cut this before I got to the class. So, but when I walked into the class, I had some shapes. I had my quilt sandwich that was kind of ready to go, and then I had the bias tape. Now on Emily's Instagram, she shows she has a podcast. And if you listen to her podcast, she will tell you her entire process of how she does it. Don't think that you can do it based off of that. You really want to take a class with her because she has mastered applique bias tape. Some of the tricks that she told us, I mean, I was so glad that I went, guys, because I was not gonna go. And I mean, after I finished, I was so happy to have met her, got a chance to hang out with her. It wasn't a super formal, strenuous, super structured class. It was free and you were able to socialize a bit. It was just like hanging out with a friend who had a bunch of exceptionally great tips and techniques. She has truly mastered her craft. If you guys don't know, I'm going to show you guys some of her stuff. This is her Instagram page, and she was going, I mean, like viral at QuiltCon and Road to California. Like when you see her work, you totally know her pieces. Here's one. And then it was the donut quilt that everybody was going super duper crazy for, I think, at QuiltCon. This donut guy here. Um, it's the one at the bottom. People go insane. Here we've got the Pop Tarts. The Pop Tart is super duper 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 cute. Here's the donut quilt. This is what I'm looking for right here. She's really known for this quilt. I mean, this is when she just kind of blew up. It felt like at QuiltCon one of the ladies at the guild, she's been following her forever and was dying to have her at our guild, and I'm so glad that she did. The class is worth every penny. She's such an amazing speaker. She's so approachable. She's so chill. The techniques, I've worked with bias tape before. I've stumbled upon all kinds of techniques, and this is one that I hadn't cataloged previously. So I'm glad that I'm getting a chance to kind of talk about it here, but I still don't show what I'm doing in this video. All I'm showing you here is how to connect your quilt as you go the way that I chose to connect for this particular quilt. But I do want to encourage you to absolutely check out Emily Watts. Her class is worth it. She wasn't confusing. She was just such a chill vibe with really inspirational shapes and colors, and she's on to something. I hope she does push this further. I have no idea where else she's going to go with all of this, but if anybody can do it, she can. I enjoyed it. Check her out. Watch me put this together. Again, I did a quilt as you go. I actually quilted it myself, believe it or not. I know I usually send stuff out to the long armor, but a girlfriend of mine said, hey, this has to be quilted in this way in order for it to look good. So just go on ahead and suck it up and quilt it yourself. So I did. And this is what I came up with. If you guys keep watching, I'll show you guys what rainbows in Disneyland looks like because it's June, which means that we've got rainbows in the park. It is Pride season. And so I love it because you just never know what you're going to run into. That's a rainbow when Disney does it. You can get Star Wars rainbow, everything rainbow. So this is kind of my June-esque quilt because it's like the perfect time to drop a rainbow quilt, right? And also, I'm using thread by Wizard Witchery, and it is my favorite variegated rainbow thread of all time. I'm very particular about my rainbow ombre, and this nails it every single time. So, if you'd like to see more about this quilt, if you'd like to check out Emily Watts, I'll go ahead and link her Instagram down below. You can check out her work. If your guild wants to have her come speak, I know that she does because she came and she spoke at our guild, and it was awesome. It's something that you don't want to miss out on. If she ever has an exhibit anywhere, you guys want to go see it because it's colorful, it's fun, it's whimsical, but it still has an elevated elegance to it, which is strange, I know. But seriously, guys, there's something about these quilts that's so different, so magical, just super cool. I like her. All right, guys, I will check you guys and see you guys on the next one. Okay, bye bye. These have finally all been quilted. Um, Now they need to be squared up and put together, and then I'm just going to join these very, very easily. Check it out. So I've decided to make these 13 by 13. And I have marked off my big 15 by 15 and a half, my 15 and a half by 15 and a half ruler, and then I've put a little arrow here. Just let me know where center is. And I'm just somewhat trying to line it up. You know, nothing super duper exact, but 13 by 13 is what I'm going to go for. So as usual, this is basically just like fussy cutting, in my opinion. It's how I fussy cut. I'm going to take 2 cuts. And then I am going to lift it. Oh, that's beautiful. It's just gorgeous. And we are going to rotate it around. And I'm going to put it right in the corner, 13 by 13. I'm lining it up with the lines. It's got to drop right into that corner. There we go. And I'm fussing and fidgeting until it looks right. All right, it looks good. So now I'm going to take another 2 cuts up the right and across the top. Wow, looks so much better. Nice. And that's what the back looks like. I need to do a little trimming of threads or bearing of threads, but it looks cool. So they are all trimmed up and they look good. I wish that I had known what sizes I was really going to want these to be, because this guy here is just too big. I am going to probably catch, I wanted to join these a 1/2 inch because that feels like the most secure thing to do. However, I'm not going to be able to do that. And this 1/4 inch right here, it's tight. I mean, it's tight, tight, tight. So I don't love that I did that, so that when I put the sashing on there, I'm gonna have an issue. Well, I'm gonna be very, very strategic and place it a little further down on these, but you know, no worries. This was just a class, a test. I didn't know that I would love this project as much as I've fallen in love with it. It's insane how much I love this. So I am going to join them all together and then we'll do the strips. Make sure you are joining these wrong sides together. Just did a little seam ripping. No worries, not a big deal. Just join them wrong sides together. Alright, so now I'm getting ready to open these up and press like the dickens. Trying to get them to lay flat. It's going to be tight. This would be a whole lot easier if this was at 1/2 inch, but we are going to work with what we have here. And then I'm going to lay a strip of fabric over the top, and that will cover that seam. So this is what we have done thus far. I have put them all wrong sides together and completely messed up how I wanted to have this. I wanted this row on the top, whatever. Now we have these very hideous lines on the front of my quilt, and I am going to take my bias tape maker that is 3/4 inches, which 1/2 inch would be enough to cover this. 3/4 inch it should be doing a little bit more. And I'm going to do 3/4 inch and then cover all of this. So let's make some bias tape and then we will cover it and top stitch it down. So I cut the strip to double the amount, double the width of this. It says 18 on here. This is 3/4. So I'm going to cut this at an angle. Then we are going to feed it through. I'm going to grab a stiletto and scoot it on down. I'm going to just grab a pin and we're going to pin that down, and then I'm going to grab this iron and we're going to do a little pull, and we're going to put this iron on here. And we're just running it, making bias tape. And I'm going to keep doing this over at my ironing board until I have 3 of these all finished and done. Looks good. This is a clover bias tape. It works much better than some of the ones you get on Amazon. I actually do not think you should get the ones on Amazon. I think you should get the clover bias tape makers. For whatever reason, the quality seems to be much, much better. I'm going to finish the strip and then I will go on ahead and go on over to the ironing board. I've never had any issues with this hot pad absorbing too much heat and going down into the, but you shouldn't do it. And I know you shouldn't do it. It's just best practice not to iron on your cutting mat, which I'm doing right now. So I have done 2 strips and they're cool. They're just stitched down, straight line on the back, nothing too crazy. And I'm using my Wizardry thread, which is amazing. I'm gonna give you guys a close-up on that. I'm using a comp foot, which I killed it on this one. Like, this one just looks amazing, and for whatever reason I have just, it's just not as straight. This one here, this one looks really good. So I'm gonna go on ahead and do the next one. I'm gonna grab my basting glue and just glue this down and then top stitch it. It's just that simple. I just want you guys to see how beautiful the color is. I always talk about this variegated thread. It is my absolute favorite, and it is just stunning in regards to a rainbow. There are many variegated threads, however, they just don't give this kind of rainbow at all. It's just gorgeous. Now I'm using Tex 35. I think it's for semi-industrial machines. I have some coming for regular domestic machines, and I can't wait to use it because, you guys, this is just right up my alley. It's beautiful. All right, so now all of my top stitching is done. I officially have a quilt as you go quilt. It's a little guy, but I think it still counts. The back looks super cool. Look at the bows on the back. Oh, I love it. I still have some threads to bury and whatnot, but it's so cool. And now I'm getting ready to grab my 2 1/4 regular binding, and I'm just going to I'm going to sew on the front and flip to the back for this guy. All right, and then it will be done. Of course, I'm going to trim these little guys here before I do that, but that shouldn't be difficult. And then I'm going to just bind it up, and this guy will be done. We will stick a fork in my bow quilt, and it'll be done. All right, guys.